Hey there, my name is Nico na, and today I'll show you my technique for decorating lettering pieces. If you like decorating your lettering but are afraid to mess things up, try this easy way to decorate your lettering neatly and beautifully. We'll be using the floral decoration templates from the Mega Floral Decorations Kit to create this beautifully decorated design. I'm creating on Procreate, but the brushes are also available for Photoshop and Affinity. Let's begin our project. Step number 1, add your lettering design. If you want to recreate this project exactly, you can download this lettering. Link is in the description. Otherwise, feel free to create a new one or use any previous artwork to decorate. Step number 2, pick a silhouette decoration guide. Let's take a look at the silhouette decor templates included in this pack. You have simple ones like rectangular decor, square decor with border guides, slanted decor guide, also with border design indicators. And you have more complex and interesting shapes like shield, keyhole, hourglass, apple, peach, and many more. Here, the line icon shows where you're supposed to add your lettering, and the shaded area shows where you should add your decorations. Choose a frame shape that will complement your lettering, stamp it on your canvas, and adjust it to fit your lettering nicely. It's okay to have parts of your lettering that aren't covered by your silhouette guide. You don't need to squish your lettering to completely fill inside the silhouette. Let's see which guide are we going to use. Okay, cat decor guide. I think the cat ears looks really nice. Make sure you stamp it on a new layer. Okay. Yeah, I think this looks nice. I'm gonna center this. Okay, let's make this a bit smaller. Yeah, I think this is the perfect size. Let's make our lettering slightly bigger. Yeah, I think this is nice. This is a good spacing. Let me duplicate this and merge them to fill the lettering a bit more. Now, step number 3, add your decorations within the specified area. You can draw or stamp your desired decoration style within the shaded area. Try to align the decoration elements to the edges of the guide to help make the shape of the silhouette more visible when the guide is hidden later. It's okay for some of the elements to go slightly outside the shaded sections. For this one, let's create something like this coaster I have here. It's a bunch of leaves moving outward from the center. Let's just hide that layer first, our lettering layer, and maybe bring the opacity down a little bit for the guide so that it's not too distracting. So for this one, you can draw your leaf any way you want to. If you have a specific technique, feel free to follow whatever you're more comfortable with. If you want to use brushes and do like the strokes, that's what I'm going to do. You could do that if you're able to do that. If not, you can draw them manually, like use a drawing pen to draw the stem and draw the shape of the leaf and then fill that in. So it's up to you. If you want to use some of the leaf stamps, you can do that as well. So you have complete freedom on how you want to create your leaf designs. But for me, I'm going to use my watercolor brush because I'm really comfortable using this. But again, feel free to use any brush you want. So again, I'm using the watercolor leaf brushes. So these have some transparency because they're for watercolor, but I could just duplicate the layers several times, merge them, and it's gonna be solid, which is what we want. So make sure you're on a new layer. Okay. So from the center, I'll just draw some leaf like that. I use a thick pointed leaf to add individual leaves to my leaf stem, the first one, like that. Okay. Then back to the pointed leaf stroke so that I could add or draw another thin line right there and right here. Okay. So back to this brush. I'm gonna make a shorter one. Like that. So I always want to start with like a really big and thick leaf because it's easier to position them at the beginning rather than later when there are so many elements already happening. So yeah, this is the first layer. So we're going to duplicate this maybe 3 times and then merge them just so that we could eliminate or remove the transparency. When we're done, turn on alpha lock and maybe color this blue. I want to color this blue like that. Okay, next is I'm gonna color with the purple. Let's try a purple color next. So I'm gonna use the same brush to draw the thin stem, maybe like that. Is it visible on the screen? I hope it is. I'm gonna add them to the middle like that, and then we're going to use the same brush but smaller this time. So I plan to make long, oh, it's too, okay, this is too dark, I mean too light, I mean too dark. It's hardly visible, so I'll just switch back to white and then recolor this later. So for this one, it's going to be like a really long pointed leaf like that. So I'm going to try to cover as much of the edge like that. See, we want to make sure it touches the edge so that it's going to get that final really nice shape later on. Okay, that looks nice. This is the next one. Yeah, longer leaves like this. That. Okay, and then this one. Like that. Okay. Easy. Again, if you don't have this brush or you find it challenging to make these strokes, feel free to just use a fine monoliner and then just draw each leaf like that. Okay, like the first leaf, we're going to duplicate this maybe 3 times before merging and turning on alpha lock to recolor to purple. So I think this purple is a bit too dark, so we could always adjust that using the hue saturation. Yeah. I'm going to increase the brightness and the saturation as well. I think this looks perfect. And then on the new layer, let's create our third leaf. So I'm going to use a light blue color to contrast these darker or more rich tones. So I'm going to draw some lines, just like what we did earlier. Oops. Like that. I'm adding one for each space in between these leaves. Okay, I think, yeah. Now I'm gonna choose a round leaf stroke. And then let's get a bigger size brush. Oops, it's too big. Okay. Maybe about this size. Yeah, and then just going to like press it like this towards the center like that. Make sure it touches the edge like that. Like that, okay. Or here. So the goal of this is not to paint or draw realistic leaves, because we just want to fill the spaces, the empty spaces. Okay, that's pretty. Okay, let's duplicate this 3 times and then merge them so we get a nice solid color. Okay, down to the last few areas. So I'm going to go back to the thin pointed leaf stroke, just to draw a nice rib. So maybe yellow this time, like that. Another yellow here. There's some space there. There's still some space here, so we could sneak that in. Here as well. Here too. Here. And here. And here. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm gonna use this because we can make smaller pointed leaves like this. That's nice, right? So light, pressure, light. Light, pressure, light with a flick. Light, pressure, light with a flick. Light, pressure, light with a flick. That's the motion that I'm doing, in case you're wondering. So we get this like really nice diamond looking leaf shapes. Oh, I forgot to add it to the new layer. So, as you can see, they're both in the same layer. Let me just select these yellow leaves. Okay, make sure I select the correct area. Like this one and this one. Okay. If you drew your leaves in the correct layer, you don't need to do this step. Okay. Then 3-finger swipe down, cut and paste. Now the yellows are in a new layer, so I'm going to duplicate this 3 times and merge to turn them solid like that. Nice. Okay. And then for the last one, I think we don't have space anymore for really long leaves, so I'm just going to add in some maybe magenta. So for this, I'm just going to fill it in with some dots. So for the florals, we have some circles, so I'll just use some of these. So I'm just going to add some dots right there, some magenta dots. Wait, am I on a new layer? Yes. So if you have some empty spots like that, just fill it in with some magenta dots. But don't fill in every single space because you also want to add some orange. So add it on a new layer, select the color orange, and select a smaller brush. Then try to make like a circular dot, like that. Like that, okay. Do you still have space? Okay, I think there's some space here, but just a little. Here as well, like that. Okay, lastly, I want to add some yellow dots as well. So I'm going back to the yellow flower, and then just add some dots on empty spaces that I see, just to make the entire piece pop. This, because the colors are a bit dark, right? Okay, I want to add some more magenta, but smaller dots. Like this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just try to balance it out. Like that. Okay, I think that looks nice. So if we remove the layout guide, you'll see that the shape is still formed. Now just a little bit of detail. I just want to add a little detail. So on each layer, leaf layer, I'm going to add a new layer, turn on the clipping mask, and go back to the watercolor pack with a thin pointed brush. Switch to black, and then I'm just going to draw like a straight line down in the middle of the blue leaves, like that. It doesn't have to be perfect because the imperfections, it makes the entire piece look more natural. Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to switch it to soft light so that it's not too harsh. I'll do the same for the violet clipping mask, a new layer with clipping mask. And for this one, I'll just draw like some lines starting from the tip, just so that it's not exactly the same. So for this one, if you don't like the simplicity of this detail, you could draw the normal leaf vein shape, like the straight with the diagonal lines on both sides. You could do that as well. So for this one, I'm turning the blending mode to soft light as well, yes. And for the light blue one, add a new layer, turn clipping mask on. And for this one, yeah, I'm gonna draw like 2 lines, like that. Like that. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to add some detail to it so that it doesn't look too plain and flat. Because sometimes what makes or what differentiates a normal artwork with a beautiful one are the little details that you add to it. pretty, right? There. And switch to soft light, or yeah, soft light. Yeah. For the yellows, I don't think I'm gonna add any more details because they're quite small, but yeah. When we're done with this, we can bring our lettering back up. Let's bring it to the topmost layer. Open it. Okay, and then let's add like a drop shadow to make it more readable. So I duplicated that, and for the bottom layer, I'm just gonna move it slightly down at an angle like that. And let's color it blue, so let's color pick this. Turn on alpha lock and fill layer. Okay, and one last finishing touch. Let's add sparkles. I want to make this piece sparkle. So if you have any sparkle brush, feel free to use those. If you have my retro lettering pack, you have some sparkles to choose from over there. So again, I like to use a sparkle 2. I'm going to stamp a few of those. Oh, it's too big, so let me make the size a bit smaller. Yeah, perfect. So I'm just going to add some big sparkles around. I'm going to switch to the sparkle 1 and make smaller sparkles, or scatter smaller sparkles around this piece. Yeah. Okay, you can always zoom it out to see if the sparkles is balanced. And then if you feel like some area needs more sparkles, feel free to tap in more or stamp in more in that area. Yeah, I think sparkles are enough. So we are done. What do you think of this clean and beautiful lettering decoration? The silhouette decoration template made it super easy to decorate your lettering nicely without messing it up, right? If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more lettering tutorials and tips. I'd love to see your beautiful creations, so tag me at nicong.co when you share your work on social media. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to get this pack, the links will be in the description. So this is the 4th tutorial video in this series, and the next tutorial is my favorite. See you in the next video.